Amen?
Amen.
Because it's a presentation, and it's a leadership presentation. It's applicable everywhere. Don't mind saying amen, because by location we are in a church.
Amen.
And that amen encourages me.
Amen.
Amen.
So being unequally, this is just a bonus. It's a thought that has just dropped in my mind in a way that if we are unequally yoked, it does impact the work we are doing. So when you are the only one who possesses a skill to do something, but you are yoked together with others, their lack of skill will impact the work that you are doing. So that's why it should be my concern that each one teaches one. That whatsoever I have learned, the Bible says, committed to able men. Pass what you have learned, pass the skill to others, so that when we are yoked together, we are able to work together. Amen? Because an equally yoked brings unevenness. I'm going to need the screen at the back, Sanele, that screen on top of you. I need it switched on. I want to keep track of the presentation. Okay. So I'm talking about strategic leadership. And I want you to just guard yourself against offense. So this is a disclaimer. I don't want you to be offended. But then even if you are offended, may your offense lead you to action. Amen. Because the only way we can get better as a black-led church is if we are willing to tell each other the truth. We don't dilly-dally. We don't blame things on other things. We are able to sit together and tell each other the truth. You see, but babies are a deafening silence. A silence where nobody is willing to say something concerning the elephant in the room. So okay, we pretend like nothing is happening, and we choose to join the club. We are the club, the church club, where we pretend like everything is going well when things are falling apart. I'm talking today about strategic leadership. And one of the key things in strategic leadership is the willingness to assess and reassess. To assess first yourself. You know, not to be, not to be ignorant of yourself, but to heighten your awareness, heightening your awareness concerning yourself. Are you with me?
Yes.
So, do you say, go ahead, Pastor Stella? Okay, so leadership is influence. We all know that. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership is influence. Okay? Leadership is influence. I met my husband in 1991, and when I encountered him, I could already see that there was somebody influencing him. It was Bonabo, Pastor Eddie, Pastor Mike Maguia. These guys are all here today. They used to speak in a certain way. They used to say hallelujah. 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 Thank you, Jesus. And I used to ask myself, what is this? And they told me that there was a great man of God. The great man of God hasn't passed away. There's a great man of God who used to wear, what do they call them? No, English, please. Suspenders, yeah. He used to wear suspenders. and when the Holy Spirit comes on him, he will just pull the suspenders and say, hallelujah. Mama, they were not wearing suspenders, but they were acting like him because of his influence. So influence is such a powerful thing when it's used for the right reason. Rather than influencing people to just say hallelujah, why don't we create, or they call it harnessing peer pressure, or riding the wave of influence? Why don't we introduce some positive principles so that we influence people towards action?
Yes.
Okay? Influence is the capacity to have an effect on a character, on somebody's character, to have an effect on somebody's character. When we call ourselves leaders, we are given access to impact and have an effect on people's characters. So we can't say those we lead mustn't change. They have to show change because their character has to be impacted.
Wow.
Amen.
Amen.
It's to develop or create a behavior of something. Okay? So when leadership is influence, strategic leadership is the ability to use that influence.
Amen.
So leadership can't be just influence, and you don't know for what purpose are you influencing. You must use that, you must have the ability to use that influence. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
So strategy, say strategy.
Strategy.
Strategy is a Greek word that's taken from the word, is it stratus ago, which is stratus, okay, which means war, and ago means movement. So strategy is to lead people to a movement, to lead people to action.
Yeah.
Okay? So strategy is the art of planning and directing military. The Bible says the kingdom of God suffered violence, but the violence pushed their way into the kingdom by force. Meaning, in order for you to push your way into the kingdom, you must have a strategy. Are you getting me? That scripture is a scripture of a warfare engaged against the church. And you are not going to win that war unless you employ strategy. Part of strategy is choosing the kind of weaponry you are going to use. But the Bible tells you that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty in God. When the weapons are spiritual, it doesn't mean they don't need strategy. It doesn't mean they don't need strategy. It says in pulling down strongholds, principalities, powers of darkness, you must have a strategy. You must know what you are dealing with and how you are going to counter it. Are you hearing me?
Amen.
So in general, strategy is a plan to achieve one or more long-term goals under conditions of uncertainty. What makes strategy necessary is the conditions.
Yes.
Strategy is best from war. It is best from a need to win. It is best from a need to overcome enemies. If there are no enemies, there's no strategy necessary. Are you getting what I'm saying? If there's no competition, there's no strategy necessary. The lie that the church has adopted is that we don't have competition. It's a lie. You have competition as a church. Go amen. Church has competition, and church is under attack. Church is in a warfare. And the competition against the church is not a church, it's not another church. We are competing against what is happening in the world. We are competing for people's attention. But if we don't have a strategy, they are not going to listen to us. Are you hearing me? Strategy is important because of limited resources. Everybody must understand that as a leader you have limited resources. And in strategy, you must choose what to do and what not to do. Where to employ the resources that you have. You don't have limitless resources. You can't be a church that is about everything. You're into when we are yes. Amen. We can't do all things. Are you hearing me? We have to choose where are we going to engage, where are we going to attack the enemy, what is our aim, where are we going to hit, and we make sure when we hit hard. Okay? Strategy can emerge as a pattern of activity. Strategy is not haphazard. Okay? It's a pattern of activity. You do it over and over again, or you have planned after I do this, I do that. There's a pattern, a flow. Are you getting me? Okay. So the word of God says in Corinthians 9, verse 25, 27, obviously when I do this presentation somewhere, I'll just take it out. I will mention it without the scripture there. And it will still work. Let's read. It says, everyone
discipline. They do it for a crown that is perishable, but we do it for a crown that is imperishable. Therefore, do not run aimlessly. Do not fight like a beat in the air. Not discipline so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified.
Yes, everyone who competes in the game trains strictly. Trains themselves in strict discipline. That word discipline is the word mastery. Okay, it's the word mastery. We as a church must train ourselves to master something. If we can't master something, we can't compete against the world. But then mastery comes with discipline. Mastery is called a discipline. I think that you have mastered. They say you have a discipline in it. She has a discipline in music because she strives to accomplish mastery. There is no mastery without the church striving. There are things which are not going to come automatically to us. We are not just going to get there automatically. We find ourselves knowing how to do something. We must have the intention to train ourselves in strict discipline. Amen. Pastors have to train themselves in strict discipline. They do it for a crown that is perishable. But the Bible says how much more we are doing it for an imperishable crown. We are called to wage war against the kingdom of darkness. And when we win that war, we are going to be given an imperishable crown. So we are in battle, Bazaban, and we are fighting for the souls of people. So we can't take it as a casual matter. We have to engage our brains and ask ourselves, how do we win the war against drugs? What is it that draws people to drugs? What is it that makes people go to clubs? Bafunane emaklabhini. So we can't master it if we don't put ourselves in strict discipline. Therefore, I do not run aimlessly. I have a strategy. I have a goal and an aim. Why am I running? How am I running? Where am I running to? I don't run aimlessly. I don't fight like one who is beating the air. But then the church most of the time is engaged in wasting energy because they are just beating the air. Our punches are not felt because we have no strategy. Strategy is achieved in differentiation. Okay, differentiation means you differentiate yourself from the competitors. Okay, you set yourself apart. You can do it by doing what nobody has done before. But the problem with this is that it won't last long. I want the lights on because I want to see your faces. Many people think strategy is coming up with a unique idea. Okay, yeah, it's okay. Coming up with a unique idea that nobody has ever done before. That's not strategy. You can come up with a unique idea, but that unique idea won't last long because very soon somebody will copy you. Yeah. And when they copy you, they're going to do it better than you and you are going to lose. Okay? Music and stuff like this are things that came, they were birthed in the church. And the world copied it. And when the world copied it, they did it better. And we are losing the battle in music. Because music is supposed to be influenced. It's supposed to influence a generation. Okay, every generation has a sound of deliverance that comes from heaven that is given to them. But we have lost the plot because we didn't understand what God has done, and the world has copied what was given to us and we're doing it better. So strategy is not an idea. Strategy is not a product.
It's not a
okay?
product.
Strategy is how you do things. So that's why we can also copy what the world is doing and do it better, so that we win in that competition.
Yes.
So we need to differentiate ourselves as to where will we compete? Where do we want to compete? What are we saying about the young adults and the youth in Jericho and R&B and the Red District, French Street? What are we saying concerning them? Are we willing to compete for their lives with the enemy?
Yeah.
Because the enemy has promised them something. Yeah. What is the church saying? Can we compete there or we shrink back? Wow. Because we don't have anything to engage them with. We don't know what we can offer them. So we don't even enter in, we don't even engage that kind of a battle. We just sit in the four corners of the church and we say nothing. Because we have no strategy. We have no strategy. What is our aim? What is your aim as a church? What's your aim? How will you win as a church? How will you win? Because listen, it's not enough for you. It's the assertions we say in the four walls of the church are not enough. They are not impacting the world. The world needs us to engage it. Okay? How do we come up with a strategy? We need to learn to simplify complexities. Okay, we need to learn to simplify complexities. As a pastor, you mustn't be happy when you preach and you say to people, yeah, you don't get me. It's not a happy thing. Yeah. You don't hear me. You don't hear me. I'm deep. I'm going deeper now. I'm going deeper now. You are just confusing people. Okay, complexities breed confusion. Confusion breeds inconsistencies. Inconsistencies breeds failure. The more inconsistent your performance is in the church, the more you must be sure you will fail. Strategy is everybody's job. Write that one down. Say strategy is everybody's job.
Strategy is everybody's job.
Come on, class. Strategy. Yes. Strategy is not what, hey, we are going to strategic meeting and you keep it to the selected few. And the rest of the team is confused about which ones are
Amen.
It's everybody's job. If you were to attempt building a cathedral, let's say you are building a cathedral and then you have a team. Some people in the team are diggers. Okay, some people are concrete mixers. Some people are bricklayers. Some people are
carpenters.
Come on, some people are yes. But then when you find a person who's digging a hole and you say to them, "What are you doing?" and they say, "I'm digging a hole." You see, you have lost them. They must be able to say, "I'm building a cathedral." Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because there's a certain way to dig a hole that will host the foundation of a cathedral. There's a certain way to dig a hole that's a trench for the waters to pass. So when the person doesn't understand the vision and they are just digging the hole, has failed before you even begin. Because you will have to come back and redo the digging of the hole because people were confused. And confusion leads to inconsistency. If the person who was digging the hole gets sick, somebody must come in and take over because the vision is clear and everybody understands we are building a cathedral. So we need to move away from this thing of withholding information. Even the things I'm saying, you are supposed to exclaim and say, "Hey, can you hear what I'm hearing?" Because each one teaches one. And when we have knowledge becomes power.
Hallelujah.
The thing that makes us build a character, is it character or personality-led churches, is this thing of withholding information. Because you want to can all that you have and hide the can. You get all you can what you get, hide the can. The number two guys goes out, come up and choose when we say it is the can. Because of slavery mentalities, we are still happy about I'm the only one. I'm the only one who knows. I'm the only one who knows how to play the keyboard. If you are the only one who knows how to play the keyboard in the church, that church has no strategy and that church is sure to fail. Because guess what? One day you are going to get sick. Or you will have other commitments. What kind of a plan is it for you not to teach somebody to do what you can do? People think simplifying is a shortcut. They think when you simplify, you have degraded the value of a thing. No. Simplicity is the energy of execution. When the thing you are about to do is simple, you are energized to do it.
Oh, yes.
Mama, if you don't even understand it now, Bati Imala, and then somebody's like, what is Are you getting what I'm saying? Yes. Simplicity is what energizes. people to implement. They run because they understand what they are doing. The surest route to success is strong determination in carrying through simple ideas. If I can give you a complex presentation, uzibuze na ukuthi siqalaphi. Uyohamba uyolala. You're going to go out of here and go sleep because you are confounded with where do I start. But if the task is simple, okay?
Amen.
There's a follow through. Are you hearing me?
Hallelujah.
The strength of any strategy lies in. Say it. I want you to take away that one. Okay. The strength of any strategy is in simplicity. So you ask yourself, when you come up with a strategy, ask yourself, how simple is it? Because how are we going to make people come back to church? We need to come up with a simple strategy. And that simple strategy can be everyone invites one. Simple. So if you come with a complex thing, which oh no, there's this thing called, and people are not like, okay, okay, strategic leadership. Now I'm coming on strategic leadership. That was what is strategy. Leadership is influence, okay? Using that influence, okay, to employ strategy. What is strategy? Strategy is an art of war. Okay? There's no strategy. If you feel like you are not under attack, you're okay, you don't need a strategy. Okay, strategic leadership is the ability to visualize. Let's say visualize. You have to see it. If you are a strategic leader, you are a leader who has a broad perspective. You have to be able to see. You must have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Okay? A strategic leader is not only concerned about what's happening right now, immediate needs. Okay? They don't want to gratify immediate needs. They have a long view. Okay, long-term view of things. So we need to understand why are we doing what we are doing, not based on today. Okay? We have this thing that's saying a gateway church, a church where you matter the most. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? If we don't zero in, because when you zero in, you see more detail. But then when you zero out, what happens? You gain perspective.
Say it again.
When you zero in, you see more detail. When you zero out, you gain more perspective. Let's take Fence zooms in. When Sinclair, you zoom in on my ring. Zoom in on my ring. Zoom in. In. Okay? You gain, let me do like this. Now, what I'm trying to do for you is to show you just the ring. So you are going to get
the
detail of the ring.
Yeah.
But you won't have perspective of where the ring is. Okay? You can only get perspective of where the ring is when you zoom out. Then you gain perspective, which is on the hand, it's on the finger. It is a wedding ring. Okay, you get me? So a leader must be able to visualize. You don't just look only at the detail of the thing, but umuntu hambile. After simenzeli izinto ezingaka sewuhambile. You are zoomed in. Okay? You need to zoom out. Now we're uzikhiphe in the thing and look it from afar and gain perspective are the things that could have led to that person living. And when you gain perspective, you learn from the experience and you are able to do better. Leaders who can't visualize, they will always be putting out fires. Because they can't perceive indoor. Firefighter. Most actually, fire. And you don't ask yourself what caused the fire. Is there any way we can prevent the fires? Are you getting me? So you must be able to visualize. Okay? You must be able to plan. A strategic leader must plan. But if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay? This is not just a saying. As you are sitting here as a leader, do you have a weekly plan? You see? You are failing to plan, you're definitely going to fail. Okay? You have to be a plan. These are called hardcore practices. Hardcore practices of a strategic leader is planning. Normal Benjamin, you plan. You plan. You have a business, you must have a plan. You must have targets. Okay? The strategic leader leads. Okay? And then they do what? They lead. They do what? They lead. Okay? And then they make choices. A person who struggles with choice making is a leader that's struggling. Every day, your mark of leadership is your ability to make the right choices. Every day of your life, you choose. You choose. And your choices are critical. Are you getting me? Don't be forced. As a pastor, sometimes people become passive. And they don't want to choose. They're like, I can't tell me. A leader must make a choice. Okay? Okay. You make a choice which resources you are going to use, and then a strategic leader is one who executes. Okay? It doesn't help to have vision statements that are written down. Not in the tablets of men's heart, written down on paper. We are going. What is your strategy? They are going to run to the cabinet and dust it off. Now it's a strategy said to Pastor Stella. Insect. Okay. Strategic leaders must be strategic thinkers. What do you think? Remember, the Bible says, as a man, what are you thinking? What are your private thoughts? Come on, I need that energy in the room. What are you thinking? This presentation will be sent to you. If you paid and you are registered, it will be WhatsApped or emailed to you. Okay? Amen. What are you thinking? What do you think? Okay? A strategic leader must master the act of thinking. It's a trap. Yes. Amen. They call it active thinking. Strategic leaders engage in active thinking. You take time and say, let me think. You willfully set aside time for you to think. If you don't think, You will repeat mistakes. Foolishness is the inability to engage your mind in thinking. That's why it has Amen? A strategic leader must first be a visionary and a strategic thinker. Those two things. Because as you engage in active thinking, you begin to imagine. And your imagination influences your visionary abilities. Okay? You can't allow yourself to have an empty mind. It's impossible. If you don't choose what you think, you are going to think what the world is thinking. Part of rebuilding. Pastor Eddie was preaching yesterday about rebuilding the walls and the strategy that Nehemiah employed. But part of the strategy is rebuilding the walls and rebuilding the gates. But the gates are a symbol of senses. Gates are access. Okay? This is an eye gate, ear gate, nose gate, mouth gate. Okay? So if your eye gate is not rebuilt, anything has access. If your light is darkness, how great is your darkness? If a leader's thought patterns are defeat, the whole organization is defeated.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Amen.
Actually, a leader is not principled. I get called principled. Mania beta. I'm fundis. And I got phone ukusuka kule stool. You have to engage, renew your mind. Be thou transformed by renewing your mind. A leader, a strategic leader must engage in active thinking, not passive thinking. Would you begin adopting people's thoughts? Now, what are your thoughts concerning that issue? You can't just adopt passively what people perceive.
Yeah.
You must be an active thinker. Willingfully. You must take a walk in the morning. Take a walk in the morning and engage in active thinking.
Yes.
Choose what are you thinking about. Say, I'm thinking about the music ministry and how we are going to use it to influence our city.
Amen. So good.
Engage actively. Think about it. Ponder it.
Yes.
Are you hearing me? A strategic leader must engage in willful, active thinking to process new problems. He must come up with a way how to solve new problems. They say you can't employ your father's strategy
To solve.
your generation's problems. The Bible calls it kill your father's bull. Yes.
Yeah.
Killing your father's bull. Dealing with your father's bull. ... By employing new ways of solving problems. You can come up with an ancient answer for today's problems. You see? Other people are rejecting your message, not because your message is irrelevant, because you have chosen the wrong vehicle to bring your message. It's like sending a person a cassette. The cassette. And you're trying to convince them, the message is powerful, and they're like,
Asinayo cassette player.
but they are thinking, if it comes in a cassette, I have problems with it. You getting me? Because people are thinking you are dragging them backwards. A leader must have forward thinking. Are you getting me? As a man thinkers, Okay? The high vote, critical thinking. A leader must employ that critical thinking. How do we use critical thinking? Reasoning. Reason. Like there's no reasoning with them. But you can reason with them. We are argue facts. Reasoning, evaluation, problem solving, decision making, being analytical. Okay? That's critical thinking. Are you getting me? A strategic leader must communicate, must have communication skills. Reverend Musa is going to be training you on communication skills. But effective leadership starts with communication. That's where it starts.
That's right.
If you fail to communicate, you have failed as a leader. You have failed. Effective leadership starts with communication. Every leader must be a great communicator. Amen. And you can learn how to communicate. You don't have to be born with it. You can learn how to communicate. You can just say, I embrace that I need to be competent in communication. Because it's one of the key things as a leader. Are you hearing me? Must be able to communicate the vision of where the organization is going. When we talk about communication, when you go corporate, they're going to make it even, they're going to go deeper and talk about language. And talk about psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics is just that in order for you to change people's perspective concerning a thing, you must choose words to direct their perception to where you want it to be. Pastor Jackie Stolle uses that word, absekho ubunzima. He drops it in because maybe he's looking at the plight of his community, or which people are struggling. So instead of people being conscious of struggle, he comes up with a language which when they greet each other, they say, absekho. And then the other one responds, absekho ubunzima. Psycholinguistics. A language you choose to employ. What kind of language do you employ as a leader? Are you a negative person? Are you confusing people with the language that you are using? So we need to clearly communicate. Okay? In order to properly execute the strategy, we must clearly communicate. We must get rid of things that confuses people in the organization. If people are not clear what is the vision, where are we going? That's why the vision needs to be simplified. If a person can't rehearse the vision, it becomes confusion. F&B, how can I help you? I think I'm left with 6 minutes. The task of a leader is to sound a clear trumpet. The task of a leader is to sound a clear trumpet. Look, the picture or the analogy I have is that of an elephant. That an elephant, but is it like that? Yeah. The task of a leader is to sound a clear trumpet. There is nothing too difficult for a leader to communicate. Otherwise, then you are in the wrong organization. If it concerns your church, there mustn't be anything too difficult for you to communicate. You must always sound a clear trumpet. You must say, let us stand. And everybody must stand because they get you loud and clear. Are you getting me? A strategic leader must have the ability to learn and learn fast. Yeah, when the world is not waiting for you to learn how to communicate, because there's no such a thing as no communication. The flawed communication that you are employing is still communication. You are communicating confusion. So a leader, a strategic leader must learn quickly. You master it. Khona manje, as I'm telling you, you are saying, I'm implementing. Awuthatha isikhathi uthi, hey, sizobona senzani senzini. You say, I plan, I visualize. You do it because a strategic learner must have the ability to learn fast. A strategic learner must shift the gear. Okay, you will get the presentation. Life has a purpose, and its purpose requires learning across a wide spectrum. Okay, those who stop learning should stop leading, for they will lead. For they will only lead they will only lead astray. That's my quotation. If you stop learning, you must stop leading. Caesar Daniel. If you want to stop learning, you must stop leading. Because a leader must continuously learn. You change because change is required because of the changing environment. The environment continues to change, so we need to adapt and change. We must continue to learn. And a strategic leader must have the ability to quickly execute. In the street by and by. You have to be in the cutting edge. The Bible calls it, if your axe is dull and the blades are not sharpened, you will have to use more energy. So they are resistant to change. They don't want to sharpen their blade. But stubborn leaders, I'm saying to you, sharpen your blade. Are you hearing me? Sharpen your blade. Okay, execution. The execution masters at strategy implementation. They understand how to turn goals into action and action into results. I have 3 minutes. I can't finish this presentation. It's a whole day thing. Strategic leadership. I'm just saying to you, it is not a failed vision. It's a failed strategy. God is not man that he can lie. No, can he change his mind? What he has called you to do, he's going to bring to fruition. But you need to change your strategy. I'm taking questions. I'm left with 3 minutes. Do we have questions? Come on, lead us. Culture is one of the things. A toxic culture is one of the things that's going to eat your strategy for breakfast. If you don't check the culture of the organization that you are leading, you are not going to accomplish anything. So how do we change culture? We change behavior. If people have a culture of coming late, if a culture yokuhlebela umfundisi asestage, it's a behavior that we must rid ourselves of. You see me, I get and nothing happened. We can only change culture when we change behavior. Are you getting me? If abantu kunabantu abazwa into yabaluma nje, iservice mayithi qali uyawaxhoxhonyela. Waxhoxhonyela lapho ngudula nje ngaba ubudisa khaya bakubuza nawe. Sit down. Let's say it.
Sit down.
Change behavior, change culture. Okay? If we have a culture of not bringing anything, we don't bring offering in the church, we must change it by changing behavior. Just bring money to the church and the offering will grow. Amen. There's no praying. We must change our behavior, therefore we change the culture. Because if we don't change the culture of not giving, that culture is gonna eat our strategy. There's nothing that will happen without money. Questions? I'm left with 1 minute. Nobody asks a question. There's a gentleman there.
Thank you. Greetings to everyone. Pastor Phetla, Mama Stella. Thank you for the powerful presentation. I'm sitting here just like Pastor Phetla from Bishop T.D. Jakes coming back and feeling the change. But my question is, to this powerful presentation. I take this as a leader, ready to execute. What is the role of patience when it comes to implementing such? Because I get to a different community from your community. I get to a different background from your background. What is the role of patience? Patience from me and patience from my audience. Thank you.
All right. Maybe I'm the wrong person to ask, especially concerning patience, because there's a thin line about a thin line between patience and complacency, or lowering the standards, or refusing to challenge a status quo.
Yeah.
You get me? The kingdom of God suffered violence, the violent push their way in the kingdom. It's a force. So if we are to change culture, we need to do it forcefully. And how do we do it forcefully? We align, we focus. You get me? Because efforts that are scattered are not gonna bring an impact. Okay? Of course, the human element is necessary. That you are not gonna do it out of without love. You have to do it lovingly, and you have to tell your congregation that this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build you up. I'm trying to train you to become a great leader. They know the reason why we are doing what we are doing. They know that I'm under training. Okay? There's this analogy. They say the railway line in years ago, the railway line encountered problems because they were no longer having customers. And the problem they found themselves with is that they thought people were looking for a railway line. But people were looking for transport. Okay, you still are not hearing me. So, the railway line was supposed to identify themselves as a transport business and find ways to transport people, regardless of what is the road or is the air, but get people to where they need to go. Okay? So as a leader, you must be able to identify what your people need. They might not know what they need. Okay? They might not know what we are open to flying, we are open to what, but you must bring solutions for your organization to make sure that the needs of the people are met. A leader, okay, pays attention to people's needs, not people's feelings. Amen. Are you hearing me? Amen. People's needs, not people's feelings. Some people need you to rebuke them. Some people need you to equip them. Some people need you to train them. Some people need demons to be cast out of them. Okay, so you can't say, hey, I don't want to hurt her feelings by telling her she has a demon. People need a leader to meet their needs, not to pay attention to their feelings. Okay?
Thank you, Pastor Stella. Greetings. I'm excited. I'm leaving this conference to learn about strategic leadership. Now my question is, should I do strategic planning alone as a leader, or should I involve my leadership?
Okay. You want to answer?
No, I can answer.
If I can study it.
Thank you, Dr. Maklo. The ministry is about team leadership. If you do strategic leadership and strategic planning, you can't do it alone. Tomorrow we'll be talking about church structure and organograms, where we'll be looking at the function of all the board members. We'll be differentiating between a church that is led by a board of deacons, a vice of the board of elders, and how to use the board of deacons. Deacon from the word deaconos, which means administrators. And the people are administrative, the people who are in the top structure of the organization must be able to filter information that comes from the top to the bottom and take information from bottom to up. So your leaders who are in your board should represent different ministries that are functional in the church. But if they are up there, then there's disconnect. So when you do strategic planning, you have to do it with the people who are representing people from the ground. And whatever you'll be planning, it will be the sentiments of the people from the ground. You are saving them, you are not saving the board. So it has to be a team thing.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Dr. McCloy. The spectrum is strategic leadership is broad. And then part of strategy is everybody's job. Addresses that question. Do we do it alone or do we do it as a collective? But a strategic leader must have that active thinking that he does alone. Okay? So first you engage yourself and you come up with a strategy in your mind. But that strategy, it doesn't belong to you. You have to now communicate it and disseminate it to every person in the organization so that strategy becomes everybody's job. So strategy doesn't belong to a leader. It belongs to an organization. Okay? So if I'm no longer pastor of Gateway Church International, Gateway Church still has a strategy that they can follow. But then if the strategy belongs to a leader and the leader maybe dies or leaves, then the organization is left in confusion. Okay? So strategy doesn't belong to you. But then as a leader, you must be able to engage in active thinking and visualize and come up with things and then bring it to the organization and make it involve everybody so that it doesn't become your strategy. You are able to galvanize activity around attaining a certain goal. I'm trying to see your face, the light. You answered, Doctor, thank you. I'm taking Bishop Ndlovu and then I'm sitting down. Sorry, Pastor? Bishop Ndlovu.
Okay.
Apostle, are you deliberately cutting me out? I just wanted to make a comment on the first question about patience. Some years ago, there was, in terms of how to change culture,
Yes.
culture will always be resisted.
Yes.
Some years ago, somebody came up with this magazine where he said, if people don't want to get into the train, ban the platform.